Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the midnight hour, silvered reflections stood in stark contrast beneath the unsparing luminance of the bathroom. Body's scrutinizing gaze landed on a face so familiar, yet so transformed, each feature shifting beyond recognition. The once distinct jawline softened, a subtle metamorphosis from the angular angles of the past. Body's fingers traced the contours, stumbling upon the unfamiliar fullness. Time's subtle alchemy transformed not only the jaw, but also the mane of hair, a mane that now fell in cascades past his ears, its auburn strands shimmering in the right light, secrets long hidden by its previous humble brown. His skin felt different too, smoother, with a certain elasticity that hadn't been there before. "Babe, your shake's ready," Melissa's voice carried from the kitchen, interrupting his inspection. "Coming?" The response emerged higher than intended, another unsettling change in recent weeks. Their apartment, a modest one-bedroom in the city's western district, had been home since moving in with Melissa 4 months ago. A professional nutritionist with her own practice, she'd insisted on taking charge of their diet, preparing balanced meals, vitamin supplements, and protein shakes designed specifically for each of them. Body trusted her completely. Why wouldn't he? Her expertise had helped professional athletes reshape their bodies. Their relationship had been perfect, passionate, supportive, loving, until these changes started. In the kitchen, Melissa waited with his daily protein shake. Dressed in a crisp white blouse and black pencil skirt for work, her blonde hair pulled into a professional bun, she looked every bit the successful healthcare professional. "You seem distracted this morning," she noted, sliding the glass across the counter. The shake looked the same as always, thick, chocolate brown, with the faint graininess of protein powder. "Just tired, I guess." Body picked up the glass, studying the contents. "Been feeling weird lately." "Weird how?" Her tone remained casual, but something flickered across her face. Concern? Or something else? "Different. I don't know." He shrugged, wanting to dismiss it but unable to shake the nagging feeling. "My body feels changed. We've adjusted your nutrition significantly since you moved in. Your body's probably just responding to better care." Her smile was warm, professional. "Drink up. You'll be late for work." He downed the shake in practiced gulps, grimacing slightly at the chalky aftertaste that had become familiar. "See you tonight. Love you." Melissa kissed his cheek, collecting her purse and keys. "Love you too." The words came automatically as Body rinsed the glass, watching her leave. Alone in the apartment, with an hour before his shift at the architectural firm began, Body found himself drawn back to the bathroom mirror. He lifted his shirt, examining his chest. Was there more definition there? No, not definition. Softness. The firm pectoral muscles he'd maintained through regular workouts seemed somehow less defined, with a slight swelling that wasn't fat, exactly, but something else. Work provided temporary distraction, though colleagues had started making comments. Subtle jabs about his softer features, questions about whether he was using new skincare products. One of the senior partners even suggested he looked refreshed during a meeting, as if he'd had work done. By Friday, the curiosity had become unbearable. Melissa had a late client, giving Body 2 hours alone in the apartment. He headed straight for the kitchen, opening the cabinet where she kept the protein powders and supplements. The familiar containers stood in neat rows: whey protein, collagen peptides, branched-chain amino acids, all labeled in Melissa's meticulous handwriting. But at the back, partially hidden behind the everyday supplements, sat an unmarked plastic container. Body pulled it out, examining the white pills inside. They weren't the usual vitamins or supplements she gave him. These were small, round, and light blue. No markings, no prescription label. His heart raced as he photographed the container with his phone, then carefully returned it exactly as he'd found it. Online searching yielded nothing conclusive until he posted the image on a medical forum. The response came within an hour. These appear to be estrogen pills, possibly estradiol, commonly prescribed for hormone replacement therapy. Estrogen! The word hit like a physical blow. Memories flooded back. Melissa's comments about how beautiful he'd look with longer hair, her gifting him moisturizers and suggesting gentle exfoliation, the way she'd gradually replaced his toiletries with better products that smelled increasingly floral, all innocent at the time, but forming a disturbing pattern in retrospect. When the door opened that evening, Body sat at the kitchen table, the unmarked pill container placed squarely in the center. "What's this?" His voice was steady despite the turmoil within. Melissa froze, her professional composure cracking for just a moment before she set down her bags and closed the door. "You went through my things." Not a question, not exactly an accusation. "These are estrogen pills." Body pushed the container toward her. "You've been giving me female hormones." The silence stretched between them, heavy with implications. Melissa didn't deny it. Instead, she pulled out the chair opposite him and sat down, her posture perfect as always. "How long?" Body demanded. 3 months. Her voice was calm, clinical almost. "I started with a low dose, mixed into your shakes. The changes have been gradual, controlled." "Controlled? You've been drugging me, changing my body without my knowledge." The betrayal cut deeper than any physical alteration. "Why would you do this?" Melissa's expression softened, her professional mask slipping to reveal something else. Longing, maybe even love, but distorted through some prism Body couldn't understand. "Because I've always seen who you really are," she said quietly. "Even when you couldn't." "What are you talking about?" "Come with me." She stood, extending her hand. Body hesitated, anger warring with confusion, before following her without taking the offered hand. Melissa led him to the spare closet, the one she'd claimed for seasonal storage when he moved in. She unlocked it with a key from her pocket and swung the door open. The space had been transformed into a wardrobe. Women's clothes hung in neat rows, dresses in various shades of pink and coral, floral blouses, skirts in flowing fabrics. A shoe rack held pumps, strappy sandals, and heeled boots in his size. "What is this?" Body whispered, though the evidence was unmistakable. "This is for Autumn." Melissa's voice carried a note of reverence. "Autumn? Your true self, the woman I've always seen inside you." She reached into the closet, pulling out a dress in deep rose. "I've been collecting these for months, preparing for when you were ready." "Ready? You decided this for me!" Rage bubbled up. "You've been changing my body without my consent, planning some kind of transformation fantasy?" "It's not fantasy." Melissa remained calm. "I've seen how you look at women's clothes, how you notice their style choices, the way you move, speak, carry yourself when you're comfortable. It's all there, Body. I just help the outside match what's inside." "This is insane." He stepped back from the closet, from her. I'm a man. I've never wanted to be anything else. Haven't you? Her question hung in the air. Tell me you haven't noticed how right these changes feel, how you've been admiring your softer features, how your emotions feel more accessible now. The worst part was she wasn't entirely wrong. There had been moments, private moments of curiosity, of wondering, fleeting thoughts he'd dismissed, but nothing that justified this violation. You had no right. His voice cracked. This is my body, my identity. You took that choice from me. I gave you time to discover yourself without society's pressures. She touched his arm gently. The hormones have created changes. Yes, but they're reversible if stopped now. Nothing permanent has happened. Body pulled away. I'm leaving. Tonight. Where will you go? Back to your old apartment that's been sublet? To friends who'll ask questions about your changing appearance? Melissa's voice remained gentle but carried an edge of practicality. At least stay tonight. Process this. We can talk more tomorrow. The rational part of him knew she was right about the logistics. His former place was unavailable. His savings had gone toward buying into this apartment with her. It was almost midnight, hardly the time to make life-altering decisions. Fine. One night, I'll sleep on the couch. Whatever makes you comfortable. She stepped back, giving him space. But if you want to understand what I've seen in you, what might be possible... Melissa reached into the closet once more and withdrew a garment, a simple white silk nightgown. Just try this. No one will see. Just you, alone with yourself. Get out! The words came through gritted teeth. Melissa placed the nightgown on the bed and left without another word, closing the bedroom door behind her. Alone, Body sank onto the edge of the bed, head in his hands. The white fabric gleamed in his peripheral vision, an unwelcome temptation. He should pack a bag, call a hotel, leave immediately. Instead, his fingers reached out, almost of their own accord, touching the cool silk. What would it feel like against his skin? The question arose unbidden, not because he wanted to be a woman, he told himself, but simply out of curiosity about what Melissa had seen in him that he hadn't seen in himself. Just once. To prove her wrong. The nightgown slid over his head with surprising ease, the fabric whispering against his increasingly sensitive skin. Standing before the full-length mirror, Body confronted his reflection. Auburn hair growing past his ears, face softening around the jaw, slight swelling beneath the silk where his chest had changed. The man he had been was still visible, but something else emerged through these changes. Someone who looked oddly right in the flowing white garment. Autumn, he whispered, testing the name that had never been his, watching his lips form the word. A knock at the door startled him. Body, I've made up the couch for myself. The bedroom's yours tonight. He quickly covered himself with a robe. Fine. There's something else you should know, Melissa continued through the door. I have a ticket to visit my sister next weekend. 5 days away. If you want time alone to think, the apartment would be yours. No pressure from me. The offer of space, of time to process without her influence, was the first considerate thing she'd done since this revelation. I'll think about it, he replied, uncertain if he'd even still be here tomorrow, let alone next weekend. Morning brought clarity and renewed anger. Body packed essential items, while Melissa watched silently from the doorway, her face a mask of composed disappointment. "Where will you go?" she asked as he zipped the suitcase. "My friend Tom's place, for now." He didn't look at her. "I'll collect the rest of my things later." "Body, please." "Don't." He cut her off sharply. "You violated my trust in the most fundamental way possible." "I know." For the first time, real regret colored her voice. "But I want you to know something before you leave. Look at these." She held out her phone, opened to a photo album. Despite himself, Body looked. The images showed Melissa with another woman, tall, elegant, with flowing auburn hair and a confident smile. They were at dinner, at a beach, hiking through autumn woods. The woman looked so comfortable, so natural. It took several moments to register what he was seeing. "That's... me? What is this?" "Face app," Melissa explained quietly. "I used it to see what you might look like fully transitioned. These images are what made me believe so strongly in who you could become. Autumn looks happy, doesn't she? Free." The woman in the photos did look happy. Radiant, even. Something twisted inside Body's chest. Not revulsion, but a complex emotion he couldn't name. "This doesn't justify what you did." He turned away, grabbing his suitcase. "I'm leaving." "Wait!" Melissa placed a small bag on top of his luggage. "Hormone blockers. If you take these, they'll halt the effects of the estrogen. Your body will gradually return to its previous state." Body stared at the bag, then at her. "Why would you give me these now?" "Because I was wrong to take your choice away." Her eyes glistened. "I still believe Autumn exists within you, but she should emerge by your decision, not mine." He took the bag without comment and left, the weight of it far heavier than its physical presence suggested. Tom's apartment was cramped but welcoming. An old college friend, he asked few questions about the sudden departure from Melissa's place, offering his couch and privacy. 3 days passed in angry confusion. Body researched estrogen effects obsessively, learning what had been done to his body without consent. Most changes would reverse if he stopped now. The softer skin, emotional shifts, fat redistribution. He hadn't been on the hormones long enough for anything truly permanent. Each morning, he stared at the hormone blockers Melissa had given him. Each morning, he left them untaken. On the 4th day, Tom handed him a small package that had been delivered.
"From Melissa,"
he explained with an apologetic shrug. Inside the box lay a simple coral-colored blouse and a note. "If you're curious, no pressure. The apartment is yours, starting tomorrow." Body should have thrown it away immediately. Instead, he found himself running fingers over the silky fabric when Tom wasn't around, remembering how the nightgown had felt against his skin. Curiosity wasn't the same as identity. Trying something didn't mean committing to it. These rationalizations circled as he made a decision he told himself was simply about having space to think.
"I'm going to stay at the apartment while Melissa's away,"
he told Tom the next morning.
"Need some time alone to figure things out."
The apartment felt strange without Melissa's presence, both a relief and oddly empty. Body wandered through the rooms, eventually stopping before the closet she had shown him. It remained unlocked. Just looking wouldn't hurt. The clothes hung in neat rows, organized by type and color. Dresses, blouses, skirts, jeans cut for a feminine figure, all in his size, all chosen with obvious care. The coral blouse from the package had siblings here, garments in similar shades that would complement his coloring, his auburn hair. His fingers trailed across a simple dress in deep green. What would it feel like to wear it? Not because he wanted to be a woman, just to understand what Melissa had seen in him. The dress slipped over his head more easily than expected, falling naturally around his changing body. In the mirror, a stranger looked back, except not entirely a stranger. The person reflected wore his face, carried his expressions, but something else emerged through the fabric and form. Autumn, Melissa had called this person. Autumn, he whispered to the reflection, watching how the name shaped his mouth differently than body ever had. One dress became another, a simple A-line in navy, a wrap dress in coral that made his eyes seem brighter. Hours passed as he tried different combinations, adding a necklace he found on the dresser, experimenting with how to move, how to sit. It was just experimentation, just curiosity, nothing more. Days alone in the apartment created a strange bubble outside normal life. Body worked remotely, maintaining professional interactions over video calls, careful to change back to his regular clothes, to adjust the camera so colleagues saw only what they expected. But increasingly, when calls ended, the men's clothes stayed in the closet. He found Melissa's makeup on the 5th day, tucked in a drawer she'd never shown him. Just basics. Foundation, mascara, lip gloss. Watching tutorials online, he made clumsy attempts that gradually improved with practice. This doesn't mean anything, he told his reflection as he applied mascara, the darkness accentuating eyes that seemed larger somehow. I'm just exploring. The hormone blockers remained untaken on the bathroom counter. Melissa would return tomorrow. Body, or whoever he was becoming, needed to make decisions, return to his former self, confront her betrayal, move out permanently. Instead, he found himself drawn back to the photos she'd shown him. The ones of Autumn, the woman with his face but free in ways he'd never allowed himself to be. He studied her expression in those manipulated images, the comfort, the confidence, the absence of something he hadn't realized he'd been carrying, a tension, a performance of masculinity that had never felt entirely natural. When the door opened the next evening, Body stood in the living room wearing the coral dress Melissa had sent to Tom's apartment. His growing auburn hair was brushed to frame his face. Mascara accentuated his eyes. A slash of subtle pink colored his lips. Melissa froze, suitcase in hand, key still in the lock. Is this what you wanted to see? His voice caught, emotion making it difficult to maintain the anger he'd rehearsed. She closed the door quietly, setting down her bag. What I wanted to see was you making your own choice. Her eyes traveled over him, not with triumph, but with genuine question. Is this your choice, Bodhi? The name jarred, feeling suddenly ill-fitting. I don't know who I am anymore. That's okay. Melissa approached slowly, as one might a startled animal. I was wrong to take your choice away. Profoundly wrong. But these 5 days, this was your decision? Yes. The admission came reluctantly. I've been exploring. And the blockers? I haven't taken them. He gestured helplessly at himself. I should be furious with you. I am furious with you. But when I wear these clothes, when I see this person in the mirror, words failed. You feel something you can't explain. Melissa completed the thought. How did you know? Before I did? The question had haunted him for days. She sat on the couch, leaving space between them. Little things at first. The way you'd notice women's outfits with more than casual interest. How you'd describe fabrics and colors. Then bigger things. How uncomfortable you seemed in traditionally masculine settings. How you'd mirror my mannerisms unconsciously. That doesn't make someone transgender. The word felt enormous, impossible to apply to himself. No, it doesn't, but it made me wonder if you might be on a journey you hadn't recognized yet. She looked down at her hands. That didn't give me the right to intervene the way I did. I was wrong, body. I don't know if I want to be called that anymore. The words emerged before conscious thought formed them. Melissa's gaze lifted, careful hope dawning. What would you prefer? A pause, filled with the weight of identity and choice. I'm not sure I'm ready to be Autumn. Not yet. Maybe not ever. There's no timeline, no requirements. Her voice was gentle. This is your path to walk. A path I didn't choose to start walking. The reminder of her betrayal hung between them. I know, and I'll spend however long it takes trying to make that right. Melissa hesitated. Where do we go from here? The question encompassed so much. Their relationship, his identity, the practical realities of living arrangements, and medical choices. I don't know, he admitted. But I want to explore this on my terms. No more secrets. No more decisions made for me. Of course. She nodded, solemn. Whatever you need. I need time and space, but not... He gestured at his appearance, the dress, the tentative steps toward a new identity. Not alone with this. Understanding dawned in her eyes. You want support, but not control. Exactly. For the first time in days, something settled inside him. Not clarity, exactly, but the beginning of a path forward. I think I might want to talk to someone. A professional. I know several excellent therapists who specialize in gender identity. Melissa smiled cautiously. No pressure on outcomes, just guidance for the journey. The conversation stretched late into the night. Practical matters mixed with profound ones. Whether to continue hormone therapy under medical supervision, how to handle work and social situations, what this meant for their relationship. 2 weeks later, the person who had once been Body sat in a therapist's office wearing jeans and a simple coral blouse. Dr. Harriman, a specialist in gender identity with 20 years of experience, listened more than she spoke during that first session. So, what should I call you during our sessions? She asked, as their time drew to a close. I've been trying out Autumn at home, came the quiet response. It feels possible. Then Autumn it is, for now. Dr. Harriman made a note. Remember, names and identities can evolve. Nothing is permanent unless you choose it to be. Outside the office, Melissa waited on a bench, keeping her promise to provide support without pressure. They walked together toward the car, a comfortable silence between them. How was it? Melissa finally asked. Overwhelming, frightening. Autumn tucked a strand of auburn hair behind her ear, a gesture becoming familiar. But also, right. 3 months passed in a blur of therapy sessions, medical consultations, and careful steps. Autumn began properly prescribed hormone therapy, the changes now monitored and managed by healthcare professionals rather than secretly administered. Work required careful navigation. A private conversation with her supervisor led to a gradual transition plan, beginning with working remotely more often, then introducing subtle changes to her appearance over time. Some colleagues were supportive, others kept their distance. Her relationship with Melissa evolved too, the betrayal neither forgotten nor fully forgiven, but placed in a complex context of harm and unexpected awakening. They attended couples therapy alongside Autumn's individual sessions, rebuilding trust within their new reality. 6 months after discovering the unmarked pills, Autumn stood before the bathroom mirror, now the primary resident of their shared apartment. Melissa had moved to the spare room while they redefined boundaries, giving Autumn the master bedroom as her own space for self-discovery. The reflection showed someone increasingly familiar, auburn hair now brushing shoulders, face softened by hormones, body gradually reshaping. The coral blouse that had once felt like a costume now felt like ordinary clothing. A knock at the bedroom door interrupted her contemplation. "Come in," she called, turning from the mirror. Melissa entered carrying a small gift box. "Happy 6-month anniversary!" "Anniversary of what?" Autumn raised an eyebrow. "Finding out you were drugging me?" The joke, dark as it was, represented progress, the ability to reference the betrayal without reigniting old anger. Melissa winced nonetheless. "I was thinking of it as 6 months of authentic living, but yes, point taken." Autumn accepted the box, opening it carefully. Inside lay a delicate silver necklace with a small pendant, the letter A surrounded by tiny leaves. "Autumn," Melissa explained unnecessarily. "I thought, well, your therapist mentioned milestones might be important to acknowledge, but only if you want to." The necklace caught the light as Autumn lifted it. "It's beautiful. Thank you." Melissa stepped closer. "May I?" Autumn nodded, turning so Melissa could fasten the necklace. The weight of it settled against her collarbone, unfamiliar but welcome. "I have another gift too." Melissa's voice carried nervous energy. "But it's more of an offer, really." "Oh?" "My lease is up next month. I've found a nice studio apartment about 15 minutes from here." She spoke quickly, as if anticipating objection. "You should have this place to yourself, to fully become whoever you're meant to be without daily reminders of how this journey began." The offer hung between them, weighted with implications about their relationship, their future, the still healing breach of trust. "Are you breaking up with me?" Autumn asked quietly. "No, not unless you want that." Melissa's expression fell. "I just thought you might need more independence, to make sure every step forward is truly yours." Autumn touched the pendant at her throat, considering. 6 months ago, she might have jumped at the chance for separation. Now, the thought of navigating this journey without Melissa's daily presence, however complicated that presence might be, felt unexpectedly hollow. What if I don't want more independence? The question emerged slowly, testing its truth as it formed. What if I'm ready to move forward together, not forgetting what happened, but not defined by it either? Hope flickered across Melissa's face. "Are you sure?" "No." Autumn laughed softly. "I'm not sure about anything these days, except that when I imagined you moving out just now, it felt wrong. I want whatever helps you become your authentic self." Melissa's voice wavered slightly. "Even if that means stepping back." "My authentic self seems to care about you." Autumn stepped closer, taking Melissa's hands. "Despite everything, Because of everything. It's complicated. Complicated is okay. Melissa squeezed her hands gently. We can do complicated. Later that evening, they sat on the balcony watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Autumn wore a simple green dress, comfortable now in clothing that once would have felt forbidden. Her auburn hair caught the fading light, highlighting the red tones Melissa had seen potential in long before she had. I have a question, Autumn said, breaking the comfortable silence. Do you miss him? Body? Melissa considered carefully before answering. I don't think of it that way. I don't see Body and Autumn as separate people. I see one person who's been on a journey of becoming. That's a diplomatic answer. Autumn smiled wryly. It's an honest one. Melissa turned to face her fully. I fell in love with who you are, not what you're called or how you dress. Though I admit, she added with a small smile, you look beautiful in that dress. Autumn touched the silver pendant at her throat, a physical token of her evolving identity. I'm still angry sometimes, about how this started. You have every right to be. But I'm also grateful. The admission came easier than expected. Not for the deception. Never for that, but for the catalyst that forced me to confront questions I'd been avoiding my entire life. As darkness settled around them, Autumn leaned against Melissa's shoulder, the weight of authenticity both heavier and lighter than the performance of masculinity had ever been. Do you think we'll be okay? She asked quietly. Melissa wrapped an arm around her, careful and respectful of boundaries still being redrawn. I think okay is too small a word for what we might become. The future stretched before them, uncertain, complicated, but increasingly authentic. Autumn's journey had begun with betrayal but continued by choice. Each day brought new challenges and discoveries. The professional transition, family conversations yet to happen, medical decisions still to make. But watching the last colors fade from the sky, Autumn felt something she recognized as her own truth. Not chosen for her, not imposed through deception, but emerging from within. The woman she was becoming had always existed beneath the surface, waiting for permission to emerge. Permission she now gave herself, one day at a time.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!